Hi and welcome to Whisky Shared. You're watching Bimber, Shoulders of Giants. I'm Toby and you're watching Whisky Shared. Welcome to Bimber, Shoulders of Giants. The guys at Bimber thought I might be interested in sharing my thoughts with you on the UK exclusive Shoulders of Giants release. Shoulders of Giants is a series of single malt, single cask whiskies which celebrates the accomplishments of historical figures who have shaped the world. Each release is drawn from Bimber's inventory of their fruit-forward single malts and offers a unique flavour profile showcasing their increasing maturity of their whisky. Dickens, Newton and Shakespeare feature in the UK exclusives, and there's also a Polish release of exclusives which feature Copernicus, Chopin and Curie. Bimber have also hinted that there is likely to be some future Shoulders of Giants releases. Be interesting to see what they release with those. Shall we find out what they taste like? On to the whisky. So let's start with Dickens, the Novelist. This release has been fully matured in a first fill American oak ex-bourbon cask and has been bottled to celebrate Charles Dickens' contribution to our appreciation of literature. It's one of 259 bottles, it's 70 cl, it's 58.3% and it retailed for £94 in the UK. Let's start with the colour. I'd say that's like a light gold. Really is a nice shade, and obviously it is natural colour and non-chill filtered. Let's start with the nose. Okay, so I'm getting like icing sugar. I'm getting green apples. Really is lovely and fruity. Lovely and fresh. Almost a hint of green apple skins as well. I'm getting a hint of strawberry now. Lovely and fruity indeed. There's a hint of cloves, a little bit of aniseed. It really is nice. Let's move on to the palate. Yeah, so this is lovely, lovely and fruity. It's got a little bit of heat and pepper to start with, but those fruit notes really come through well. I'm getting berries like strawberries, raspberries. I'm getting a little bit of blueberry as well. But that apple that I picked up on the nose, that's really, really coming through as well. Slightly tannic with the sort of apple skin note. I think that's more from the wood than the spirit, but it's slightly drying my mouth out a little bit. But it is really lovely and fruity. Let's have another sip. Yeah, I'm starting to get a very light cinnamon note, a little hint of cloves, and that fruit is really nice. It's almost, I'm getting like a biscuity note now as well, which reminds me of like a fruit pie. Really is tasty indeed. It's got a nice medium long finish. It's not overly drying on the palate, and incredibly drinkable at 58.3% ABV. It's probably a whiskey that would benefit from, you know, the smallest splash of water, but drinking it neat, it is very, very drinkable indeed. I think what Bimber have done with this is showcase what their sort of natural spirit profile is like. It doesn't have that youthfulness which a lot of sort of younger Bimbers did have. So I think that sort of spirity note that Bimber used to have has become well-rounded now with age, and yeah, it's a really, really nice dram. Shall we move on to the next one? So now we have Shakespeare, the Playwright. Honouring William Shakespeare's contribution to the English language, this release has been additionally matured in an ex-beer cask. The unique single malt whisky has been drawn from the distillery's first release of ex-barley wine casks, created in partnership with French brewery La Debouche. It's one of 271 bottles, it's 70cl, it's 57.7% ABV and retailed for £94. Before I start nose and tasting, let's have a quick look at the colour. I'd say that's like a straw colour. It is obviously natural colour and non-chill filtered. Let's start with a nose. This is really interesting. I'm getting a little bit of orange, like orange sherbet. There's a really nice sweet, like powdered sugar. I'm getting a hint of honey. Yeah, lovely and sweet. There's something else there. I think it's reminded me of like boiled sweets. You know, like those travel sweets that you used to get in a tin. Actually, I think maybe it's subliminal, but I'm getting like a barley sugar note. But yeah, this is really nice and fruity. Let's move on to the palate. Okay, so this is quite interesting because it's quite malty, lots of cereal. It's not overly sweet. It is sweet though, but not overly sweet. I'm getting lots of sort of cereal, a hint of green cereal as well. There is a greenness to this. A slightly sour note that sits on the back of the tongue with this. And yeah, slightly bready as well. But yeah, a little bit sweet, but not too sweet. Let's have another sip. Yeah, I'm getting those light orange boiled sweets coming through. It's got a slight synthetic tang to it, but it's not off-putting. It's quite tasty. But yeah, lots of cereal. I'm assuming that the slightly bitter note that I'm getting now may have come from the beer cask, but I think it offsets the sweetness reasonably well. It's probably a little drier than I'd like personally, but it's still a tasty whiskey. I think what they've done here is probably tone down the sweetness of their normal profile and added a slightly bitter tang, which I'm sure some people will really appreciate, but it's probably just a little bit too much for my taste buds. But yeah, very, very interesting indeed. So let's move on to the final one, Newton the Mathematician. Celebrating Sir Isaac Newton's contribution to our understanding of science, this lightly peated release has been matured in a first fill American oak ex-bourbon cask. It's one of 257 bottles, it's a 70cl, and it's 58.3% ABV and retailed for £94. Before I start, let's have a quick look at the colour. I'd say that's like a rose gold, maybe. There is a hint in there, but yeah, it's definitely gold. Definitely got a gold hue to it. Let's start with the nose. Okay, so there's definitely a hint of wood smoke. There's definitely some fruitiness there as well. very sweet. Maybe tropical. Slightly synthetic with that sweetness. But yeah, that smoke's starting to disappear now. I know, it's back again. Yeah, it's really, really light. It's in there. Maybe somebody who's new to peat would think that it's much stronger, but it's very, very light for me. Yeah, I'm getting a hint of charred oak. But yeah, not much more in terms of flavours on the nose. Let's move on to the palate. Yeah, so the peat on this is light. It's like a wafty wood smoke. It's definitely there. There's a sort of lingering on the palate. As soon as the whiskey evaporates and is gone, it's definitely like a wafty wood smoke that remains. There's a little bit of icing sugar and sweetness, a little bit of dry wood in there as well, but it's very, very light and very, very lightly sweet as well. In terms of flavours, I'm not getting much more at this stage. Definitely need another sip. Yeah, definitely getting some more flavours now. I'm getting like a synthetic green apple. I'm getting a hint of strawberry as well. It's definitely, I think once the smoke has landed on your palate and you've sort of acclimatised to that smoke note, the other flavours start to come through. And that fruitiness, it's nice and light. It's very drinkable at this ABV as well, which is nice. I'd be inclined to say it definitely doesn't need any water. Obviously, it depends on your palate, and for some people they might definitely need to add water or might prefer to add water, but this is very, very drinkable at this ABV, and I think that lightly peated note has definitely it's definitely a great accompaniment to the fruity spirit that comes from the Bimber single malts. It's nice to have sort of fruit and sweetness and sugary sweetness with peat. It's always a good combo to have sweetness, and yeah, for me this is definitely a great sweet peat. It really is nice. In terms of finish for this one, I'd say, yeah, it's not overly long. It's medium. I think that wafty smoke does linger for a little while, and there's definitely some sort of sugary sweetness in the form of sort of white sugar. There's also a little bit of dry wood that lingers, but it's yeah, really, really quite nice. I think for me, my favourite of the three is probably this one. I think it's a great showcase of the spirit, but also what a little smoke can do to add a little bit of pizzazz. I think it works really well, and I think every peated Bimber release that I've had so far has been impressive. Obviously, I was unlucky to get any from this release, so I'm really glad that the guys at Bimber sent me these three samples. Hopefully I can get one of the future Shoulders of Giants releases, and I'll keep an eye out for when they're released. I suppose with Bimber single casks being very limited numbers, they're going to get snapped up quite quickly. So it's probably worth checking out Bimber Klub, where you can get notifications of releases before they're mainstream. I'll put a link in the description so you can check Bimber and Bimber Klub and even these releases if you want to read some more. I do have some other Bimbers in my collection, so if you're wanting more Bimber reviews, then just let me know. Let me know in the comments and I'll see what I can do. If you've tried any of these releases, also share your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you thought of them. And if not, hopefully I'll see you again soon. Sauncha.
I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not give it a like or a comment? And please consider subscribing for more videos like this.